Hello and welcome back, or just hello if you've never been here before. Welcome to Unikronn's Gaming, and this is another 2D Sunday-ish. Today we're going to be talking about Wonder Boy, not Adventure Island, because I've never played Adventure Island. I've only ever played, I think, 3 Wonder Boy games, and this is one of them. So I'm going to talk about this one. This is the arcade footage you can see in front of you, and I'm going to be talking about the arcade version, the Master System version, not the Mark III, because I didn't really notice much difference. So I'm going to talk about the Master System version and the Game Gear version, the world version of that, not the Japanese version. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of brief history about this game. So Wonder Boy is a platform game published by Sega and developed by Escape. I think they're known as Whetstone Bit Entertainment now. It was originally designed for arcades and was later ported to the SG-1000, the Mark III, Master System, Game Gear, tons of other 8-bit computers and 16-bit computers. So yeah, also the name got changed on the Game Gear for the world version. I'm not too sure why, but it just did. There's tons of collections of this stuff out there for, I believe, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Switch. I don't believe the collection is on the Xbox, and obviously PC is on that as well. So yeah, like I said, game came out in 1986, and that's when I saw it. So that's just a brief history about the game. Also, it had a couple of things changed for the home versions. I might as well talk about them now. It had 2 extra levels for the Master System and Game Gear version. So I believe the arcade had 7, if I remember correctly. Not that I ever beat the game. And then the Game Gear and Master System had 9 areas. And obviously, if you collect the dolls, it opened up secret areas as well. Yeah, so anyway, let's talk about this game and the differences that I found. If I miss stuff, it's because, well, you know, I'm not an expert on this game. Alright, cool, let's get on with it. Okay, just to get a few things out of the way. While playing this game, I chose the modern control method. So I was playing with a button for jump, a separate button for high jump as well. So I didn't use the classic controls. Also, the whole point of this video was just to compare this version, or the arcade version, to its 2 console ports. Basically, the home console port of the Master System and portable, which was the Game Gear. So because of that, I wasn't going to play through the whole game 3 times. I just wanted to get to the first boss and pass that boss, so I can have a general comparison. And then if I'd liked the game more, I would have played through it and tried to beat them. But just for the sake of the video, that's what I did here. It was just the first lot of stages and to get to the first boss. Okay. I'm going to give my opinions on the graphics. Obviously this game was 1986, so there's no parallax scrolling in this game, unfortunately. It would have been nice if there was, but there isn't. But generally, it's very bright, it's very colourful, extremely colourful. It's obviously points based, but we should leave that for the gameplay side of it, really. But graphically, it's very nice. The main character, he stands out across all the backgrounds. I love the fact that he looks different when he gets on a skateboard. He's like some 1980s skateboard kid. His blonde hair sticks out a lot. That is just one funky barnet he's got there. It's just crazy. The run animations is pretty funny with his little belly as he's running there. His attacks, the animation for the attacks look cool as he throws these little axes or tomahawks out. That's pretty cool. His jumping animation is okay. It's okay. It's nothing to write home about. But generally, he's a well-animated character, and he should be, because the whole game realistically revolves around you watching him all the time. So yeah, he needs to stand out, and he does. He does, how should I say this? He does have some good emotes, like when he dies and he gets hit, which is surprising because you didn't often see that in games. Generally you'd flash and then you'd die, or you would disappear off the screen. But I like the fact that he emotes when he dies. He jumps up and he disappears off the screen. He goes down. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I didn't expect that, to be honest, and I actually forgot about that because it's been a long time since I played this game. So yeah, he's very cool. As you can see on this particular background here, he stands out quite a lot. So yeah, and that's what you need. That's definitely what you need for your main character. You don't want him to blend in, or you don't want him to have another useless and silly death there. You don't want him to have any sort of color clash like you would if on a lot of Spectrum, ZX Spectrum games at the time. You don't want him to be very, very glitchy. That's another thing that would be really annoying. I thought that was going to happen on the Master System and Game Gear versions, but not really. So that was pretty cool that didn't happen. Because a lot of Master System games, the graphics would glitch in those days as well. Well, the early Master System games anyway, I can remember. But no, this one I didn't really notice any of that, which was pretty cool. There's also a decent range of enemy sprites, and they look pretty cool. They definitely stand out as well. Very distinctive, whether they be snakes, bees, spiders, whatever stuff are there, octopuses. They look good. You can tell what they are. So that's pretty cool. The boulders in the game, when they're coming, they have some decent animation there. The fire looks okay. It's actually got animation there, which is nice, and it's colorful as well. Yeah, the backgrounds, they're not my favorite thing in this game, to be honest, but they serve a purpose. You can tell if it's woods, if it's a beach, if it's a cave. They're functional. I'll say that they're functional. Save points, flowers, stuff like that. They're all functional. What that is, I don't know. But I know it can hit you and kill you. So yeah, the fruits, you can see them. They stand out pretty cool. The eggs are nice and big, so they stand out as well. Basically, all the enemy sprites stand out. They're nice and big and colorful. So yeah, it's the graphics, they do the job. They do the job well. So yeah, next part of this would be we'll talk about the sound. Let's talk about the sound. The sound is functional. It gets a little bit grating, to be honest. It's not my favorite tune. It's as annoying as the Papers, Rock, Scissors in Alex Kidd, to be honest. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the sound. It's very memorable. I'll give it that. As soon as you hear it, you know what game it is. But it's not for me. And all the hits when things get hit and stuff like that. It's a little bit grating, to be honest. It's a bit grating. Very grating, actually. It's not a little bit. Yeah, so the sound isn't. It's not to my taste. Some people say it's a classic, but it's not to my taste. Here's a boss. Since we're on the bosses, let's just talk about gameplay basically. And as I've got past this boss, we should go into the Master System version next. And so I'll continue with the gameplay section there while I talk about the Master System version. So here we are with the Master System version. I'm going to start talking about the differences that I notice while playing the game. So I'm going to include that with the gameplay. The main character, I found him a little bit more skittish. I don't think that was a placebo effect. I just found him a little bit more skittish. Once again, I am playing in the newer control system. Control scheme, I should say, not the original. So that could be something. The sprites and stuff are smaller, as you can see there. The enemy sprites are a lot smaller. The backgrounds aren't as detailed, but the general run and jump arcs and stuff like that all seem to be the same. The speed to me of the game is no different. Obviously, the layout is almost one-to-one. I can't say I really noticed much different there, but yeah, it was just the gameplay to me just didn't seem much different, which is good because it's a port. That's what you want. So yeah, and obviously they added in 2 extra levels, so you got a bit of extra value for your money, I'm gonna say. As you can see with the boulders there that went past a little while ago, there was no animation for the boulders. They were just there. They were just moving. So that's another thing that got cut out. But yeah, the general gameplay is the same. If you've played the arcade, you're gonna be right at home with the Master System version. His jumps, the attacks, the way he controls on a skateboard is all the same. You pull back to hold back a little bit, just in case you come into a jump where you need a bit more momentum and stuff like that. I didn't feel any difference there. Like I said, the only thing is that initially he felt a little bit more skittish to me. His animation has been cut a bit, but not too much. It's just a really healthy port. I would say it's a little bit more saturated than the arcade. Yeah, look at that. Great. Fell in the water, died. Yeah, it's a little bit more saturated. The sound is also a little bit more tinny, I'm gonna say. Which the sound really annoyed me. But it's the Master System sound, and so I forgave it that. That's what the Master System could do, and it was trying to replicate the arcade. So yeah. That's just the sound, that's just it was. I don't know if it was the tinniness that annoyed me or just the actual music. I think it's more the music, not the quality of the music. It's just, I just didn't find those tunes enjoyable for me. So yeah, but yeah, that was, yeah, it was just, yeah, the sound. I need to get over the sound in this game. I just didn't like it at all. I don't know why I've got such a downer on a goddamn sound. But yeah, I do, and I suppose that's just me really, you know. Yeah, I'm a sucker for parallax scrolling, good music in games, and I love animation. So yeah, but this game animation, like I said, the animation is still alright. He's still got that funky little walk with his belly wobbling, which is cool. He's still got his mad little barnet. His jump animation looks a little bit still looks funky to me, but hey, it's part of the game. So yeah, I didn't find any issues with hitboxes in this game. I thought they were generally pretty cool. There's enough real estate on screen to see what's coming up next, which I think is very important, especially when you get stages like this where some of these clouds drop away and you're going to need to know which cloud is which and what's coming so you can see the next part of the screen. So that works perfectly well. Is it me, or do those palm trees look like they've got literal testicles, like proper like nuts hanging off them? Why would I even notice that? Anyway, I don't even know. I just don't even know. But yeah, the Master System version I think is really good. It's a very, very, very close and solid port. I feel that it's probably the best port at the time that the Master System probably had, I'm gonna say, especially for 1986. So yeah, I believe, I think the arcade version came out in, was it March? And the Master System version came out later that year. So yeah, it definitely came out then. As you can see, this cave stage here doesn't look quite as sharp as the arcade version. It's still got the bats in there, which is cool. But the fire, as you can see, doesn't animate as well, and the fire flames are actually smaller. The boulders do not animate at all, they just bounce, unfortunately, which is a little bit sad. The checkpoints don't stand out as much. Obviously your main character does stand out, which is cool. The skulls are a different type of blue, and they don't look as big. The snakes aren't quite the right green, but it's still a good port. It's just slightly different. That's all it is. But if you didn't have the two side by side, you wouldn't know. If you'd played this at the time in the arcade, or if you'd seen it, the arcade screenshots in a magazine, and you got this for the home version, you'd think it'd be basically perfect. And you'd have almost every right to think so, because as a port, it's great compared to what the arcade actually was. So later on in the video, we're going to be talking about the Game Gear version. And as I'm talking about that, I want to also be talking about what I want to talk about now, which is my history with the game. This game, I believe I played the year it came out, in '86, because, well, this game was in a minicap office, and wait, hold on. Would people even know what a minicap office is these days? Okay, if you're in the UK and you're my generation, you know what a minicap office is. If you're not, a minicap office is where you would where you'd go or you'd call up to book or get in a taxi. It's basically an unlicensed taxi. That's what they had in the 80s. So that was a minicab office, like a taxi rank or taxi. Yeah, it's just a minicab office. It was like Uber for Uber or Lyft or whatever it was, but they wasn't licensed. So, hey, it was the 80s. You know what I mean? It was what it was. It was dark. It was dingy. But you had an arcade in there. People used to smoke. There'd be fights there. People get drunk. But it had this game in there, and I think after that it had Vigilante in there afterwards. But anyway, it was no place for like how old would I have been? I think I would have been coming up to 11. Yes, I was 10, in between 10 and 11. So it wasn't really a place. I shouldn't have been there, but hey, it was the 80s. I mean, 80s were wild. You flick, toss a coin. On one side, you could get a Blue Peter badge. On the other side, you could get a Jim Will Fix It medal. You did not want that Jim Will Fix It medal, because God knows what you would have had to done, or what would have had to be done to you to receive that medal. If you know, you know. We won't talk about that anyway. This is not. But anyway, like I said, it was the 80s. Things are very, very, very different there. BMX Bandits, Back to the Future, Transformers. If you know, you know. Anyway, oh look, the boss, as you can see, roughly the same. Just hit him on his nonce. Still thinking about Jim Will Fix It. Hit him on his head, and when that comes off, he's done, and another head appears. So, like I said, I played this in the 80s. So what I used to do, this machine was 10 pence a credit. At that time, my mum was not giving me any money to go to the arcade. So she sent me to the shops, and I had to pick up a few things. For my troubles, I'd knock off 10p for later. To take 10 pence off a change I was supposed to give my mum, and pocket that 10p. And later on, when I got sent down to the laundrette to do some washing, the laundrette was next to the minicab office. For those in another country, I don't know, a laundrette is like a laundromat. I don't know if there's any other words for it, but it's a laundrette. Public place where you can do your washing and drying. Yeah. This is the Game Gear version. We'll talk about that in a bit. Near the end of my history. So yeah, I would pocket some 10 pence here and there, 10p's. And I would go and play this game when I got sent to do the laundry. And that was the first time I saw this, and this was realistically the first game I could honestly say that I went and played by myself without, being with parents or family, going to Margate or Blackpool, one of those places, or the Fun Fair where there was arcade machines, or the Trocadero or something like that. This was one of the first places I did by myself. So yes, I went and played this game. It was alright. I was chuffed because I was able to play a game by myself. Bearing in mind, I never lasted long at all. I was god awful, but the original control method I think was weird anyway. You had to hold the button down to do different types of height for the jumps and stuff like that, if I can remember correctly. But yeah, I just didn't last long. But I remembered the sound, I remember what the game looked like, and I always remembered it was Wonder Boy. And I saw Sega on there. And because of that, that probably started my love for Sega arcade machines. So yes, that is my history with the game. Not a great history because I never lasted long. I wasted a lot of 10p's. I'm sure my mum knew that I kept a hold of some change back, but hey, you know what? She allowed me 10p. I mean, was I gonna buy a pack of polos or a finger of fudge? Was just enough to give the kids a treat. Full of sugary goodness is what kids love to eat. A finger of fudge is just enough to give the kids a treat. Yeah, I remember that advert. Yeah, anyway, fudge was around about 10p, polos around about 10p's. I could get a couple ice poles, but I went to the arcade to spend it instead to last those excellent 30 seconds before I died. But it was worth it. So yeah, so that's my history with this particular game. Now, let's talk about this Game Gear version, shall we? This goddamn SOB. You sons of bitches. This Game Gear version. Alright, look, the Game Gear, because my brother had one, I personally feel is, or was, a good handheld. It wasn't the best. Objectively, it just wasn't. Subjectively, we loved it because I had a Mega Drive, which we shared, and my brother got himself a Game Gear. So you just love what you had. The Game Boy was objectively a better handheld. The Atari Lynx had better graphics, worse battery than the Game Gear, but still, the Game Gear, when it had games like GG Shinobi, GG Shinobi 2, excellent when games were made for it. But when it was ports to the Master System, just hell no, just no. It didn't work. It just zoomed in and cut stuff. I mean, look at this. What? It moves the screen. That's not what Wonder Boy is about. You can barely see where you're supposed to jump and go. Almost got pushed off the edge here. Look, I'm showing you in slow motion so you can see the distress that this game caused me. I was like, what the hell's going on here? That never happened in the arcade version or the Master System version. But somehow, this is what happened on the Game Gear version. It's just, it looks cool, but it's way too zoomed in. You can't tell what's going on or what's going to happen next. I mean, it's just, I played this version like 4 days after I'd played the other two versions. So to be honest, I ain't gonna lie, I forgot what I was doing or what clouds were dropping and where. Hence why you see me running a little bit, firing. I couldn't remember if there were any octopuses coming or what was gonna happen. But my God, it's just not enough real estate. I don't understand why when they did Master System ports, they just zoomed in for the Game Gear. Just give it its own version. There's the nuts for coconut again, or testicles for coconuts. But yeah, it's basically the same game, just that you got no real estate. And I think it's got a bit of extra slowdown as well. Yeah, so this was a very frustrating experience. Not as frustrating as Sonic 2 on the Game Gear, but by God, it was just frustrating. Because apart from that, it would have been a perfect portable version. It would have been. But the real estate, it's just not enough. It's just too zoomed in. You just can't tell. I'm talking through gritty teeth right now because it's all coming back to me. It's like PTS bloody D. Yeah, it's just. I mean, look. You have to wait for the thing, and there's the next one. It's like, come on, bruv. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think this was the problem with a lot of Master System ports to the Game Gear. They were just zoomed in versions, and if it hurt the experience, it was just too bad. There was nothing you could do. Yeah, I remember that first boss in Sonic 1, but whatever that boss was, with the bouncing ball thing. Like I said, this was almost as frustrating. Because you're going to see where I'm going to be dying a lot within the next minute or so. And I just couldn't get past that stage. Obviously, I know you must do with practice. But I was just like, it wasn't an issue for me on the arcade version or the Master System version. But because of the lack of real estate, it's now an issue on the Game Gear. So the Game Gear had its own problems with certain ports of games. So no, I didn't like it. I just didn't like this version. I would say to anyone, if you want to play any of these versions, just play the arcade or the Master System versions. Not the SG-1000 though. That version's god awful. I didn't bother to put it on there for poops and gigs. I just didn't bother because no, it's not the one. But yeah, this version I didn't like. It's so sad because it sounds good and it still looks good, but it's how can you have no real estate? I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is ridiculous. You can barely see the cloud. I was like, where am I going? Crazy that they thought that this could pass a quality test. And for them, I guess it did. I guess it just effing did. I mean, look at that. Look at. Shut your mouth, Sega. Come on. But yeah, basically, look, I'm here again. Thinking, where am I jumping to? Is it high or low? Where's the cloud? A leap of faith, and I made it. And then that one drops, and then I sink. Come on. Just, you know what? Anyway, I'm going to be out. I'm going to see you in the next game video that I do. Take care of yourself. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out. Peace.